All right, hey everybody, it is Friday. It's time for another 5 on Friday video. It is December. It's getting dark out there. Oh my gosh, I'm not looking forward to the next couple of months because we just end up having like a lot of overcast darkness in the Cleveland area. But anyway, we make the best of it. So I got my questions. I'm ready to rock. Hope you guys are too. Let's go. Is everybody ending strong this year? How are you guys doing with your sales for next year? How are you doing with wrapping it up for this year? Are we going to finish strong? Are we going to make a lot of money? Are we going to do every single job that's in our pipeline between now and the end of the year? Are you going to finish everything? I know that I'm going to try super hard and do everything I can to get everything done, make my customers happy, and bill as much as I can between now and the end of the year. Right now, we don't have snow on the ground in Cleveland, so I'm able to keep my crews working out there, which I've been able to do, which has been really nice. But you never know. You never know in the Cleveland area what's going to happen. I could have snow next week. I could have snow in 2 or 3 days. So we have that to contend with. But I hope everybody's finishing strong and doing great. Okay, so I have my questions, and we are going to start out with Devon Jones. All right, Devon, thank you for watching. Thank you for the question. So Devon said, more of a request, I'd love to see you record a live sales call. I've never done that before, so that is something that maybe I can try to work in to one of these videos. It's kind of weird because you never know sometimes if you're going to be doing a sales call, if somebody calls and you're kind of on that initial phone call with them, what's it going to turn into? Is it going to turn into a sale or not? But anyway, Devon goes on to ask, do you pre-qualify potential clients? Rather than just submit a bid and the property goes with the lowest price, how do you extract the info necessary to get the property to want to work with you rather than it be based off price? That is a very, very good question. So let's break this down a little bit. Let's talk about this. Rather than just submit a bid and the property goes with the lowest bid, how do you extract the info necessary to get the property to want to work with you rather than based off price? So I am not going to sit here and say that I will pre-qualify everybody that I have as clients or everybody that I am giving a bid to, because that's just not the truth. I'm not going to sit here and say things that I don't do. However, there are ways that you can go about this. You could do the pre-qualification and try to ask questions about the budget, like what's your budget? Who do you have doing it now? Who's your current contractor? There are various ways to go about doing that, and some people will tell you and some people won't. Most won't tell you what their budget is. So most people are not going to tell you, at least in my experience, most people have not said, hey, this is what my budget is for landscaping. Now, having said that, if you are bidding a condo association or a homeowners association, there are ways about going to find out how much their budget, the potential budget is. So for example, I do this a lot. So if I'm bidding a cluster home, for example, I will go on the web and I will look up at houses that are for sale in that neighborhood. So I will try to find a house or two or three, at least a couple comparables in different sites, look down on the information that is about each house. So it'll say how much the house is, how much the taxes are. If you keep scrolling through that information, you can find the HOA fees. Now, I'm not saying this is an exact science, but that's why you need to check a couple websites, but I'll look at the HOA fees. And if they're $100 per unit per month, and say there's 10 units, so you got $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. So their budget is $12,000 a year. That's their max budget. Now, if you're looking at that property and saying, well, I think I'm going to bid this thing, but it comes out to $15,000, you might want to rethink it and pre-qualify it in your head. Like, you probably know you're not going to get that job if you're already exceeding their budget. And believe it or not, I've done that. Like, I have bid properties and I know I've exceeded their budget. So that's one way to kind of figure it out. The other is to just try to, in my opinion, so I think for me, I've changed a lot over the years. Like, I used to just want to get the business, get as much business as you can, bid every single property. I still subscribe to that to a certain extent, but I'm not going to just blindly send a proposal in without at least meeting the person who is in charge. Doesn't always have to be the decision maker, but it's best to be the decision maker. But quite frankly, if you're bidding a property like an association again, a lot of times you may not get to the person who makes the, or the whole board makes the decision instead of just that one person, and they can't get the whole board together to meet with you. So you have to try to really form a relationship with whoever it is that's in charge of that property, or whoever your contact is with that property. So pre-qualifying things are tough. In the commercial world, your reputation has a lot to do with it. So if you have a decent reputation, I think that's going to go a long way too, because if somebody calls you out of the blue and they've seen your work or seen one of your trucks and are already interested, then they've got a little bit more leverage maybe to hire you. So there are various ways. I hope that answers your question. I know I can really delve in. You could delve into that topic. Like I can do an entire hour on that topic. So, but it's a great question. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight, and hope it answers your question, Devon. Okay, next question. Jacob Crider. Do you ever use bidding sites like Dodge Reports or Construction Journal to bid on commercial work? Jacob, I do not. Actually, I've never heard of either one of those. But having said that, and I'm going to parlay these two questions together. So I have another question right after that we're going to talk about. So my next question is from Rudy R. How has LMN software been working out for your business? I'm interested in the software myself, but would really value your opinion. Thanks. So to answer both Jacob and Rudy's questions, we use LMN. I really love it. I have no affiliation with them. I'm not going to talk about a product unless I really believe in it, and I believe in that product. Like I said, I have no affiliation with LMN. Having said that, I do use their software, and I do think it's a very, very solid program. And I'm not very familiar with these other ones, and I'm not sure, maybe I'm missing the point here, but I don't really know what Dodge Reports and Construction Journal is, but from my perspective, what I do is I use LMN. LMN also has like a measuring system in it, so you can measure the properties with their software. So if you want to measure the square footage, things like that, it's very good for that. If you put your budget into LMN the right way and you put in your labor and everything, LMN is kind of like an all-encompassing program. I wish I could do it justice by telling you exactly what it does. All I can say is try it out. But if LMN, if you have it set up exactly the way it should be, it'll do a lot for you. So you really don't have to go to any other site to figure out how to bid. You really don't have to do anything other than use that software if it's set up the right way. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. I appreciate those questions, Jacob and Rudy. So next question is from Beach River Landscapes. Hey man, how's it going? So Beach River wants to know if we have people on salary, and how many people are on salary. Right now, I don't have anybody on salary. But having said that, I had a lot of people on salary for a long time, for probably the last 2 years. I've only had like one person on salary, but prior to that, I probably had 3 or 4. So the way salary works, and at least in the state of Ohio, there's certain legal ways of being able to put people on salary, and I can't speak to that because I'm not a lawyer, nor am I an HR expert. However, in our industry, the salary positions are like office managers, account managers, people that are going to be doing more of the administrative work, not the field work. So in Ohio, we can't really put field people on salary. We have to put managers, we have to put, higher management people on salary. So like I said, your office managers, your account managers, your operations managers, if you have a branch manager, you can do salary with them. The thing about salary though is you have to remember that goes into your overhead versus your direct labor. So salary goes into overhead. So it's not going to go into your direct labor. So that's the thing that you have to think about when you're dealing with salary. I don't want to get too much into the whole direct labor, direct costs versus overhead costs, because that's a whole nother video also. But remember, when you're adding a salary position, for the most part, that salary position, at least in my area, my neck of the woods, it's going right into the overhead, which increases my overhead. So it just increases the overall costs of the company. Okay, thanks for the question, Beach River. So I have one last question. Jose Herrera. Herrera? Sorry, Jose. Anyway, how do you deal with picky and stingy clients? That question should win like question of the day. I should have a question of the day, and that question right there should win question of the day. You know how I deal with them? I fire them. Okay, all right. Having said that, we'll get a little realistic here. Yes, I fire clients. Anybody that's been following my channel for, the last couple of years knows that I've downsized my business, totally changed my business. And part of that was dealing with stingy and, what did you call them? Picky and stingy clients. It's not that cut and dry, but the bottom line is sometimes you have to fire your clients. It's not an easy thing to do. I'm going to tell anybody that has that thought going in their head about firing a client, if you have the thought, it's probably the right thing to do, but you can't cut off your nose to spite your face. So you can't cut your biggest revenue stream just because you don't like them. But if you're not making any money, if they're taking up, most of your time, if they're sucking your energy, if they're constantly on you about every little thing and you cannot make them happy, you cannot make money, then it's time to cut them loose. So I've had to go through a lot of soul searching with my company, and it was very difficult to make the decisions to part ways with customers that I had had. Some I had had for a very long time. Now, fast forward 2 years later, are things better? Yes, things are better. We're still working and trying to grow this business back to where it was, and I'm going to do that. But this time, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm fortunate enough to have my 30 years of experience of running a business to look back on and say, this is what I want now. This is what I want. I'd rather have this than this. So I've worked myself into a position where now I'm trying to take on the clients that I think I can work and do the best job for, make the most money from, make them very happy. And it's a nice symbiotic relationship between them and my company. It doesn't always work that way. So you never know who you're going to get into with when it comes to your clients. You just don't know. But again, the pre-qualification question from before, you have to see, there's a lot of gut feelings too that go into some of this. And you have to realize that sometimes your gut is right. So you have to think about that when you're dealing with a potential client. When you have somebody who's nickel-diming you and just constantly complaining, it's like the 80-20. Have any of you heard the 80-20 rule? So the 80-20 rule is that 80% of your problems come from 20% of your clients, okay? And 80% of your profits come from 20% of your good clients. So if you look at that 80-20 rule, if you get rid of the 20% that are no good, if you want to call them that, then you're going to have a better mix of clients, a better portfolio. And I look at commercial maintenance as kind of a portfolio. So I have businesses, I have smaller sites like gas stations and restaurants, I have homeowners associations, I have cluster homes, I have assisted living facilities, I have places of worship. So I have a lot of different clients. I have some residential work too, which I'm getting into more. So you kind of balance that out, kind of like a stock portfolio, so that you have a solid mix of clients. That may not work for everybody, but it works for me. So bottom line is, I do think that when it comes to clients that are just not working out right, you do have to make that decision. And it's not always easy. Now, if every single client on your list is that way, then maybe you're the problem. So you got to remember that. Could be an issue of maybe you're the issue. But I would say probably it's not every client, it's probably just some of them, okay? And I know that you probably know in your gut which ones those are. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for their questions. I want to thank everybody for watching my channel. Please hit subscribe if you like my content. I appreciate it so much. And I am looking forward to the weekend because it's Friday. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope everything is really rocking and rolling at your companies. I hope you have a great 2020 because it's coming up. It's like right around the bend here, all right? So have a great weekend. Enjoy. See you next time.